Poštovani gledaoci, sa nama je legendarna belgijska grupa Hooverphonic koja će se predstaviti na Pesmi Evrovizije ove godine sa pesmom The Wrong Place. Hello, how are you?
Hello, fine. Really good, very good indeed.
You're representatives of Belgium this year in Eurovision. How did you come up to that decision last year, and now how did you reaffirm your participation?
Oh, it's kind of like, kind of a child's dream, I guess. Like we always loved the festival, but it never fitted our schedule. We were always touring, we were always on the road. They asked us already a couple of times, and it never kind of like, it wasn't the right time, or we didn't have the right song, or like. And then last year they asked us, well, actually already 2 years ago they asked us, and I said to the guys from VRT, from the Belgian broadcaster, I said, well, if we write the right song, we'll do it. And so a year later I called them. I said, like, I think I have the right song, and that's how we got talking. And then, well, we went from there, like they were really enthusiastic about the song. Then they said, like, we're very enthusiastic about the song, but can you write some more? Then we wrote like 10 more, and then they couldn't decide anymore which one we needed to kind of use. Then it became Release Me. And then when the festival got canceled last year, they immediately called and said, like, okay, then we'll go next year, with a different song. We immediately decided that it needed to be a different song.
You weren't negotiating at all. You were just like, okay, we're going to Eurovision again next year, right?
Yeah. We immediately kind of, it was immediately decided that we would go again. So yeah, we were lucky, because in most countries it's different artists going this year. So a couple of countries have the same artists, like Iceland is still the same, I think, but like Italy is always connected to Sanremo. So
there are some national finals that are just happening no matter what. So it was all up to broadcasters.
But in Belgium, already a long time they don't do that anymore. When I was young, there was always this competition. It was called Eurosong, and then they were looking for the right song to go to Eurovision. The program was always very popular, but in the end it was always like a compromise, because if you have a public already voting, so Belgium actually got more successful on the Eurovision song contest when they didn't do that anymore, when they started like when VRT really started like picking the acts themselves.
Yes, actually internal selection has some quite good advantages, because artists can focus on the song without thinking, will I win, what will happen, and everything else, and they're longer deadlines and everything. So so let's go a bit to the past. Can you tell us about forming of your band? You are legendary, almost in all Europe people know your songs, but can you tell us how did that start?
Well, we started in 95, actually. In 95, I was working for Belgian television. Actually, I was actually a sound engineer for Belgian television. Imagine that, and me and Raymond, we had like a band, Hoover it was called at that moment, with another singer, with a young singer called Esther, and a keyboard player. And I played, there was this kind of youth program, program for young adults with a lot of live music. And I asked the producer, I played the demo, and he liked it, and he said, like, okay, you can come and play on the program. And I was like, whoa. And that was actually our first, in October 95, our first performance of To Wiki, which was like our first single. And believe it or not, in 97 we were touring in the States. That's how fast it went. It was like we released To Wiki immediately in Europe. It was really like doing well, and after a year it really started doing well in the States, and so we started touring. And yeah, our music from the beginning was used in a lot of movies, TV series, and it still gets used a lot. Our career was launched like a rocket. And in 97, Jagger joined us. She was really young. Actually, after Esther left, we had another singer. And after a year being on the road, she was homesick all the time. and she didn't want to do it anymore. She was really homesick, you know. She couldn't cope with the touring life.
Yes, yes.
We did an audition, and then actually we wanted to continue with Geke, but she was too young, you know. In Belgium, you have to go to school till you're 18, and she was 17. So it was no option because we were touring internationally. We were always away, you know. And then we had for a couple of months, 3 months, somebody else, and then, you know, that didn't work out. We called Geke, and before we knew it, we were on the roads for years actually.
Yeah.
So it was, but it's yeah, it's been quite a roller coaster ride, I have to say. Yeah.
Did you expect that it will explode like that in early days?
No, not at all. Actually, to be honest, we had like at that moment, we had 7 record companies who wanted to sign us. So we saw there was like something going on, but there was this one guy in particular who worked for a publishing company. A publishing company is a company who kind of is kind of taking care of your writing shares, you know, like your author rights, you know, like and the guy says like, you know, I think this song to Wiki could do really well. I think he could do well, really well in the States. I'm gonna send it to Bernardo Bertolucci because I think it could do well on his soundtrack of his new film called Stealing Beauty. And we were laughing with the guy. We said like, yeah, whatever. That's never gonna happen, you know. We're just a tiny band from a tiny city in a tiny country, you know. Like this is. Yeah. And a week later, he called us and he said like, "Hey man, it's done. You know, you're the opening track on the soundtrack."
Yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't record it yet. It's a demo you sent. Well, you better get recording them because they need it in 2 weeks. Whoa, in 2 weeks, and then that's how it started, you know. And then it got used in Tuwiki, got used in West a couple of in a Wes Craven movie, and yeah, it was quite a roller coaster. But still, we're like an indie band, you know. We're popular all over the world. We play all over the world, but we have the best of both worlds because we're indie. We play in really good clubs. We play for a lot of people, but we still have the anonymity. We can still walk. Like last year, we were in Belgrade. We can still walk the streets without being harassed all the time, you know. But at night, there's like a sold out gig, you know. So
yeah. That's great actually, because you can like be like a regular person and everything.
Yeah,
and from the
we're
other
not
side,
living in a golden cage, you know. Like we don't want to be living in golden cages. And also, we're too much. I'm too fond of seeing local cities and tasting local food and walking around town. And you know, like last year, we had some really nice Serbian food in Belgrade and really cool bands playing, you know, live bands, you know, these acoustic bands playing. They're really good musicians, you know. So it was.
Yeah, in Belgrade, actually, there is a good underground and alternative music stage. So there are many performers that are totally unpopular, unfamiliar, and everything. But the main street of Belgrade is big orchestra, actually.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And can you tell us, you had many different singers in Hooverphonic. How could you adapt to different sensibilities?
Well, I don't know. You know, it was always like, you know, like a sort of. I wrote most of the songs, so I always had to adapt, you know. I had to write from a female perspective, you know. So I always had to write very universal, or how should I say it? Like I needed to write universally. The themes needed to be universal because it needed to be, a lot of people needed to be able to reflect on it. So that, of course, makes it maybe more easy to kind of sometimes have a different singer because everybody can give his own meaning to the song, you know. And I think that helps. On the other hand, you know, it wasn't our choice to work with different singers. It just happened, you know, like Geke left and we were like, you know, in panic. And we thought like 2 days we were really, really like depressed. And then Raymond said to me, he said like, okay, Alex, that was the Geke's chapter of the book, but the book is not, it's not finished. It's not written. So then we said like, okay, we'll need to find somebody else to be, you know, the main character in the next chapter. And then we found Noemi. And from one hand, I think it's good, you know, it always, kept us fresh and new, and now as well, you know, Gek is back, and we're very happy that she's back, and the fans are happy that she's back.
And can you tell us something more about it? How that did happen?
Very cool. It was a coincidence. She called me for something completely different, actually.
I'm part of a TV show where we sing each other's songs. We sing other artists' songs, and I called Alex in respect to us using a Hooverphonic track as well, and we started talking about all sorts of stuff.
And we were talking about the 20 years of 20th anniversary of Mad About You.
Yeah.
And I said, like, we want to release it like a new version. And then I said, like, as a joke, probably it's probably better if you sing it, and that's how it started. But it felt very natural, actually.
Yeah.
It was very spontaneous. And then, you know, we were talking about that, and then we said, like, yeah, we're going to tour with the Magnificent Three probably. And then we were talking about the tour, and then we finally ended up like, but if we do that, why wouldn't we join forces, you know? And everybody, like, we felt, everybody felt good with that. Everybody was very enthusiastic, and then we said, like, well, then we have to do this. Also, if we really have fun again, writing and playing together, you know, it's a good thing, because a lot of people were waiting already for this kind of, like, you know, this homecoming of Gek, I think, you know, like, in the end, she sang like Mad About You, Eden, like a very iconic songs.
Yeah,
we've
actually,
been like touring for 11 years, so we did. Yeah, we had like a lovely time on tour.
well, speaking about these songs,
the dog is waking. What did you say? She just want to say, like, yeah, Gek is my favorite singer too.
Is it male or female dog?
It's a female dog.
What's her name?
Yeah, very difficult. No, Josephine.
Oh, Josephine. Great. Good name.
But in Flemish, if you make it small, it's Joske.
Ooh, I could not pronounce that.
So, and Joske.
So she's a fourth member of the band.
No, she's more like a mascot, how you say it. And, she's our lucky charm. Lucky charm.
Ah.
Lucky charm.
Well,
whenever I write a song, she has to kind of decide if it's a hit or not, you know.
Oh, really? Well,
one bark is like, continue, you're not there yet. 3 barks is like, it's a hit.
Oh, nice. And if she doesn't bark, it's just take something else.
Yeah. If she's not barking, then she's actually saying, mate, it's time for tea, or do something else, because it's not gonna happen, you know. Like,
you mentioned your songs that become quite legendary among Europe and the world, actually. Mad About You and Eden, and even live performance and studio versions are really big hits. So how did you feel about that when that exploded?
It was really weird, because I still remember we released Mad About You in 2000, in May 2000, and actually at first it didn't happen at all, and it was only when in Italy, you know, like during summer, I think it was like smart cars used it for commercials. Suddenly it started. And because of that, you know, the whole summer, of course, in the south, you know, of Europe, you know, Mad About You became really, really popular. Then France followed with like Autoroute du Soleil. And there was another commercial, and it became really popular in France, and it really started spreading. So it took actually more than half a year to kind of really get to its like peak level. And
but I think that was the first time I remember like we played at Puckle that year in a tent still.
It's a Belgian festival, like a big festival, and we played in the small tent. Yeah.
Up until then, it wasn't, Hooverphonic was doing okay, but on an alternative side more. But then that it was starting to break.
It was not that popular before.
Yeah, we were like already that way. We were really underground. But we were from the beginning, like I said, with Tuwiki, we were actually really out there, you know. We were more popular outside of Belgium with Tuwiki than we were in Belgium. With Mad About You, we found, you know, like we went from indie a bit more to a bit more, you know, like we cross over to the to more popular kind of pop side. But it was, in the end, you know, like if people talk about it, I think it's a magical song because it kind of kept growing, and it kept growing. And if you look at it now, you know,
it's still growing.
but the song is like, you know, it gets played every year like more than 15 to 20 million times, you know, on Spotify, and it's just like continuing, and it's like it doesn't stop. It's like, you know, it's a perpetuum mobile. It's like an evergreen.
It's evergreen. Yeah, I just wanted to say that. And
that is something we couldn't predict in 2000. No. You know, we saw it, oh, it's a hit, but we didn't know that it would be that iconic. You know, we didn't have a clue at that.
Yeah,
but it was definitely our breakthrough song, you know, from the indie.
It happens spontaneously, and that's the biggest magic of all.
Yeah, you know, like, and it also has like a really strange structure. It's not a typical song where you have a verse and a chorus, and it's a kind of weirdly weird kind of structure, and still it feels very natural. You don't feel that, you know, it feels very natural, but if you look at it, it's a very. And I think also it's a very, the mix of the big string orchestra with the young girl singing, and then the way she sang it, and then the cold program beat with the very emotional kind of strings, and then and of course it's a love song. It's like a song about an impossible relationship, you know. And also, I guess it's a song that I write already a long time. Sometimes you write from a personal experience, and sometimes you write more from you know,
some vision.
Empathy. This is from personal experience. I wrote this song to a girl, you know, like, and so maybe.
And you managed to transfer it to female perspective.
Yeah, I always had to. Honestly, I think a good love song should work, you know, like.
Yeah,
like,
I don't think.
It shouldn't make any difference, no. And I think nowadays a lot of people would agree with me, you know, like it's, but it's, it should be universal, a good love song, I guess. Doesn't really matter if you're a boy or a girl. It should kind of like, you know, you should connect to it. And it's just talking about an impossible relationship. So a lot of people, you know, even one of our friends came to me and said, like, I'm going to use that as an opening dance to my marriage. And I said, like, are you crazy, man? It's talking about an impossible relationship. No, it's mad about you, you know.
Yeah, it's good for any occasion.
So like, did you listen to the lyric? You know, feel the vibe, feel the terror, feel the pain. It's driving me insane. No, it's okay. After the opening dance, we had to carry him to his bed because he was too drunk to party.
Well, for the end of our interview, Hidden Stories, new album, 7th of May, 2 weeks before Eurovision final. How did you decide to make an album? Was it a separate project, or and will the Wrong Place be featured on it?
The Wrong Place is definitely the first single of the album, and that's also what that was always the thing we said to the VRT. You know, we said, like, if we go to Eurovision, we just gonna promote a Hooverphonic single. We're gonna not change because we're going to Eurovision. No, we're gonna stick to our guns. You know, so the Wrong Place definitely a vintage Hooverphonic song, and it's definitely gonna be on the album. The idea was, you know, the record company said, like, why don't we put out an album? And we liked the idea because it's not oftenly done, you know. A lot of acts of Eurovision, they have one song, and then it's a single, you know.
Yeah.
And we thought, like, no, it would be nice to have an album, you know, like we always do. You know, when we release singles,
it's like a full story.
And so we started working on it last year. Then we stopped for a while, and Jackie came back, you know, like rejoined the band, and then we continued working on it straight away, you know, and then we wrote some new songs. We had already had a couple of songs, so yeah, we're very, very happy with the album. It's a very strong album, we believe, and we're very happy that it's going to be released in May. The only pity is we can't come to Belgrade immediately to promote it. So it's we're gonna have to wait till the beginning of 2022, I guess, when we're gonna start.
Yeah, just all of these restrictions should be, you know, finished, and everything.
Should all get a vaccine, but in Belgium it's not going well. How is it going in Serbia?
Well, it's going. quite good. I mean, we are like in top 5 countries of Europe with the number of vaccinated. So I think
we were not even at 10%, 9.8%.
Oh,
and we're only with 10 million, and we're not there yet.
yeah,
so
we are having like 1.5 million of vaccinated and around 100,000 of revaccinated. So I think it's going to be over soon. I mean, I hope. I just don't want to make any predictions about it. It's quite a tough situation.
Well, we hope so too, but for the moment we don't get a vaccine yet. No. Should have called our band the Vaccines. Oh no, they already exist.
So Alex, Rainbow, Geike, thanks a lot for this interview, and hope to see you in Belgrade when it is possible, and I will definitely come to concert.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
See you there.
See you there. Bye.
Bye.